spectator legend. Great grandpa, tell us about the first time you got introduced to Major League Baseball here in the United States.
Yeah, when I arrived in the United States, it was 1922. 1923, I was already in baseball. Introduced to baseball.
What were your favorite teams?
Giants.
Giants? Now, where'd you live back then? Now,
I lived on 2nd Street,
in Manhattan?
in the Lower Manhattan.
How'd you get to the games?
By train.
By train?
Yeah, we had a train to get off the boat.
Oh yeah, who are your favorite players on the Giants?
The Giants, at that time, the manager, Padva, you know,
Yes.
sitting there with a cane and he wore a straw hat, you know. So it was a chubby man. That time he was the manager when I was introduced to baseball.
Who were the best players on the team?
Oh, they had that time Bill Terry, Roger Hornsby.
Roger Hornsby?
I think he was.
Yeah, but he was with the Cardinals, wasn't he?
Yeah. And they had the Lindstrom, I remember, on third base. You know, Bill Terry was on the first shortstop, I don't know, the threes or something. You know, you forget all these years go by. Forget. There was a pitcher, a chubby guy, Fitzsimmons. You know, he always, he was never the greatest, but he always got along in the game. he was a sloppy pitcher. That was Fitzsimmons. That was in my days.
Yeah. Now, we got to ask you, Grandpa, when did you hear about the legend, the Babe?
Babe? It was always a legend over there at the Yankees. I heard right away. As I was introduced to baseball, I was heard of Babe Ruth. Because when I arrived, he was already with the Yankees, I think. Babe Ruth.
What did New Yorkers think of Boston for trading him?
I wasn't much that time. I didn't hear people talk about the trade they made with Boston. I knew he was pitching. It was a good pitcher. Yeah, but when it came to the Yankees, it was an outfield. And it was the greatest hitter there.
Oh, yeah?
One of the greatest.
How many times do you think you went to see him?
I would say maybe 50, 60 times. When the Giants won away, they were home.
Yeah, so we used to see him in the old Polo Grounds?
No, they had the stadium.
Where'd you go, Yankee Stadium?
Yeah.
What was that stadium like back then? That must have been great.
Yeah, it was all right. It's a big stadium. I think it was bigger than the Polo Grounds. It was all the time.
What'd you think of that, Lou Gehrig?
One of the greatest, in my opinion.
You think it was better than Babe Ruth?
The difference, he was a first baseman. Louis Gehrig, he was a steady. He played a couple of thousand games, maybe 2,000 games or something, and he wasn't sick. When he got sick, I finished him all. That's what I remember. Otherwise, he was never sick.
Now, there were a couple times the Yankees played the Giants in some World Series, and Tug McGraw pulled some fancy stuff on the Babe and got him struck out. What did you think going back then?
Not much to think of. That was the baseball. It could have happened to the best. So it happened to him. He struck out. But when he promised to hit a home run, a kid was sick. He told him he's going to hit a home run and showed him where he's going to hit it. He hit it. Right?
What was New York like? Was New York in love with Babe Ruth, or?
Well, of course. Of course. The Giant fan was a Giant fan, was a loyal fan. It didn't go nowhere. He stood with the Giants. I stood with the Giants. When I went to a game, when I went to the Giants, usually on the weekend, I went during the week. Sometimes I took off. Today, and I went to watch the games. Yeah, but especially on weekends, I was there. And the double headers I didn't miss when the Giants were home. Today, yeah, we got these double headers very soon.
Who you used to go to games with?
Huh? I used to go most of the time myself. Yeah, I come home and meet my friend. They won't associate baseball.
Yeah.
Right, when I was introduced to the game, I was a giant fan, nothing else. And at the Yankees, when I went to the game, when the game finished and the Giants lost, I was very much disappointed. I wasn't so happy.
What'd you
That's the kind of a fan I was.
What'd you think about when they beat the Yankees?
Yeah, that was great. I enjoyed it.
How come your grandson, the narrator of this, is the only Yankee fan in the whole family?
The whole family, what's the way you call the family?
Myron was a Giant fan. My mom's a
They were born, they were by kids. So my son was a Giant fan, and he became a very loyal fan.
Did you know that my mom didn't even know I was a Yankee fan? The other day I told her I was a Yankee fan. She said, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I tell you the truth, I thought that you were a Giant fan.
Well, I like the Giant. See,
I thought you were a Giant fan.
well, the reason I was a Giant fan, but I like the Yankees more.
Yeah.
I was afraid to tell her because I was afraid Grandma might not give me as much food if she knew I was a Yankee fan over a Giant fan.
Grandma didn't go very much, but she understood. And when my friends called me up, if I'm home, my mother said, no, he's at the game. She was happy. Why? I didn't go, selected with friends, maybe they weren't so good, you know what I mean? She watched me. So when she knew that I had her, she was very proud. Mom, I'm going to the game.
How much did it cost to go to the game back then?
I could have gone there. I could have gone in for $1 and sit in the grandstand.
Did you collect baseball cards when you were younger?
I used to, when Myron was born, and he was about 3-4 years old, I would stop by he wanted me. So I bought him a lot of cards.
Move over just a little bit. You're in a little bit of the shade.
Okay.
Did you ever think that the baseball cards, like if you had a Babe Ruth card, would be worth $500,000 like it is today?
No, I didn't think in those days about that. Who wouldn't have saved it?
That-
When children got big, when the mother cleaned them, they got them in the way, you know. Who taught them those days? I didn't think about the saving the cards.
Who were some of the great players you remember from way back?
Well, these are the great players. Like many others, you know, it goes away 50 years, 60, 55 years, 60 years. You know, I came here, I was 15. Get it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm 72 years, 73 years in this country right now.
What was Dizzy Dean like as a pitcher?
At Dizzy Dean, there were two brothers. The Deans. They were great pitchers, one of the greatest. They used them out so fast that they burned them out. That's why they didn't last them. They were to a team, they carried the Centurions.
What about Walter Johnson? You ever see him pitch?
I don't remember.
Walter Johnson was pitcher for the Washington Senators, fastball.
I don't think so. Maybe I did. I don't know.
Who was your favorite pitcher?
Favorite pitcher was Carlo.
How you spell the last name? H-O-O-D-E-N? Now who? Hoban?
Yeah, Hoban. B.
Oh, who did he pitch for?
Giants.
What was it? What did he do so special?
He was an excellent pitcher. He was a strikeout king. They won the games for them. And then when he went to pitch, the Hearts was in favor. The Giants. I mean, one of the best pitchers on the team that time in those days. I remember when they had him. When he came up in the ninth inning, and the Giants were winning by 1-1. I think they were winning by some meters, but they kept score. I remember, I think it was St. Louis. Not so sure. But all the men, the elite pitcher, he struck out the team. After that, he became a star. And he was one of the great.
How was that guy Roger Hornsby with St. Louis Cardinals?
He was with the Giants after.
He was with the Giants afterwards?
Yeah, yeah. He was great. He was great ball player.
How about the Dodgers? Ever follow the Dodgers much?
Yeah, a little bit. I used to go to the games a lot.
In Brooklyn?
When the Giants were away or something.
What about when the Giants were playing Brooklyn? What was it like in New York City?
I didn't look at New York City. I went there to see the Giants win, but they won. They had the Dicey Reynolds pitcher with a tall sleeve. You know, he pitched so the sleeve was hanging out. You know,
yeah.
A very fast pitcher. But look, he pitched for the team that had won every day.
You ever get to see any go to any World Series games?
I think one or two. I think I went to World Series. Yeah. You know, to my opinion, that time was a great team. Don't forget, the Connie Mack. I was a manager, also known for the Philadelphia National. The Athletic, Philadelphia. The Athletics were the Americans.
Mm-hmm.
The
Phillies.
National. Don't forget, this is 1995. It's not in the early 30s. The 28, I would say 92.
Did you ever see any of the black National League, black baseball teams play?
No, until he came in.
Jackie Robinson?
Jackie Robinson, I haven't seen him. There wasn't one. He walked the burger.
What was the feeling like in New York? Was it like a big deal or not that big of a deal?
Yeah, it was a big deal. Yeah, I wasn't used to it. Everyone against it. You know, nobody complained. They wanted to see a good player. Nobody complained. I didn't mind it. In fact, I liked him. I had respect for him. He was a great player. And I had respect. In fact, a lot of fans liked Jackie Robinson. He was great. So what was better about it?
Yeah.
Then started to come in.
There was a great...
And the catcher, what was his name? He got hurt. What was his name?
Roy Campanella?
He was a great catcher. Not a great. It's too bad he got hurt and listen. He was great. That's it. Then slowly, they were coming into there. There was a lot of great players to be picked up from the black people.
You ever see that guy Satchel Paige pitch?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was good. Had a lot of fun seeing him pitch.
Who did he pitch for?
I think he pitched for the Yankees.
No, I don't think... But he was good. What was he, a fastball pitcher?
Smart. He got away with it. He was smart. Don't forget, he was about 46, 47, something like that. Right?
Yeah, he was older when they brought him up. What was Joe DiMaggio like?
A great player. Everybody loved him. Great. Can say. He's a great player. Yeah.
Now, a lot of people, when they talk about...
They dominated the baseball. The Yankees. Till the time came and they couldn't stop them. Because at that time they wanted money. The teams were poor. So when they ever had a great player, came along to the Yankees and they had the money. They bought them all. And they played for the Yankees. When the teams got a little more prosperous and better, and their attendance was better, they couldn't buy the player no more. That's why they fell down, started to lose.
How was his brother, Dom DiMaggio, who played for the Boston?
think about him that much. I wasn't reading too much about him. I don't think he was great. No. No. I don't know. Maybe he was great. I didn't read too much about him.
How about some of the other Yankee guys like Yogi Berra and Whitey?
They were great. One of the great.
Now, did you get a chance? Did you see the Polo Grounds? Did you see Willie Mays play in the Polo Grounds before they moved out west?
Maybe 100 times. There was not a weekend I shouldn't read. And many times during the week, all the holiday. And me and another fellow we were together. We used to take off half a day, go to the Polo. And see the game.
See the game?
Yeah, my greatest pleasure was I used to come early to see him practice. And then when they had the throwing around the ball in the infield, I enjoyed that. That was the greatest.
Now, did the players come over and give a lot of autographed baseballs? If you were there early, you give a many baseballs during the game?
Oh, I didn't bother. I didn't try to get an autograph. Like, they do it naturally. Kids used to go, the girls, men too. But listen, they were nice. They autographed me. I used to go in for a book I said instead.
What'd you say? Bleachers or?
No, bleachers were 50 cents.
Bleachers were 50 cents?
Later years, they're not $2 stand out. Bleachers. 75 cents used to be the bleachers stand.
Now, what did you get a lot of soda and drink there, or you just used?
Oh yeah, when I went myself, sure, I bought myself a soda. Frankly.
Now, did you play much baseball when you were younger, or you mostly just watched?
I didn't play much baseball. When my oldest son was born, then I started to play with him. 4 or 5 years, and I played with them hard every night. He used to wait for me downstairs with the bat and 2 gloves.
Now, what about your grandson? Did he used to wait for you also with some baseballs?
I don't know, I don't think.
What are you talking about? I used to wait for you on Friday nights with the ball and glove right by the subway.
Yeah, you probably did, yeah, many times. Yeah, but the main thing, mine used to wait till I come home from work. It took me maybe 15 minutes, I was finished, ran downstairs. We stood there in the park.
Where'd you go, Bronx Park East?
Yeah, sure, right in behind the brick avenue.
Right up against the wall over there, you used to pitch to him?
No, I pitched it against the wall, but I used to hit it. I know how to hit to teach him to feel the ball. And I used to tap the ball, hit him out to hit. And that's how the kid was.
Who was his favorite player?
They had the same players in there. Yeah. And there was a first baseman. I forgot about this.
Gil Hodges? McCovey? Orlando Cepeda, Willie McCovey? Mel Ott? You must have liked Mel Ott a lot, huh?
Sure, I liked them all. They were always, the whole team always. Yeah, but we had a first baseman, he was Chuck. I forgot the name. I should have his name somebody. He was a great first baseman.
Did you see that big?
Johnny Mize.
Oh, Johnny Mize, huh?
Yeah. See that?
Yeah.
He was a first baseman.
Did you?
What
was that catch that Willie Mays once made in the World Series, running straight back behind him, caught it over his back, over his shoulders, and threw the ball and caught the guy up, tagging out. Remember that?
I had everything about the Giants. That book went by the years, 50, 60. Then I used to go where mine was about 8, 9 years, 10 years. I used to take him on a weekend. So they took along food. sandwiches. I went with the whole pack. Yeah. We ate I bought the drinks, of course. Frankfurt. Children loved it.
Back up a little bit. What was baseball like during World War II when all the good players were in the Army?
Play baseball. Nothing bad. Play baseball. When you love baseball, you don't care. You love it. And you're there. Today, they gave us a little different than those days.
What was Mickey Mantle like?
Mickey Mantle was Mickey Mantle. It was great. It was.
You know, that was my favorite.
Yeah.
Everybody, you know, he was my. Everyone knew Willie Mays was better, but Mickey Mantle was still my favorite.
Now he was a Yankee.
Now, what about the Dodgers? They had some pretty good teams in the 50s with some pretty good rivalries, huh?
Yeah. Then they became a good rival.
I guess during the
late
50s. I guess during the 50s was the best year for baseball in New York. The Yankees were good, the Giants were good, and the Dodgers were good.
The Dodgers picked up.
What did you feel?
They used to call it a few years before, what you just mentioned, and they won them backwards, the bases. They did. Yeah,
They ran backwards?
yeah, that's what they called them.
What did you feel when the Giants moved to San Francisco?
When the Giants lost to San
No, moved to San Francisco.
Well, I did. I remained loyal to them for many years. Then, in the end now, what am I going to do now? Well, 5 years ago, I had to take the Mets.
You had to take the Mets, huh?
Yeah, sure. But when they moved out, I was still a Giant. You don't just switch. You get over it. You know, I was born like I arrived in the United States. And I introduced me, they took me and a friend of mine to the game, and that's it. I remained a Giant fan. You couldn't buy me no way. I didn't know any better. I knew the Giants. And Giants were a great team.
But now tell us about those Mets.
The Mets, I couldn't be a Met for many years.
How bad were the 1962 Mets?
Not bad. For a team, Stanger came in, and he made a team out of it. He was doing his best he can. And that's it.
Yeah, what about the first year the Mets won in '69?
Oh, yeah, that was a great year. That's when they hit that home run. That was the year, I think, when they won the cup. Right?
Yep, and then they were in the World Series.
Yeah, Bill
That-
Perry. I think Bill Perry hit it.
What about that? They had some good pitchers. Nolan Ryan, Tom Seaver, Jerry Kuzman.
Yeah. Those were the great pitchers. Yes, and Carlo
What about Sandy Koufax?
was one of the great.
Did you ever get a chance to watch him play?
Of course.
Was there anyone?
Came down to New York.
Well, let's put it this way, Grandpa. Was there any players that you wish you would have seen but you didn't see?
Those days I've seen them mostly. Maybe those that were before me, before I arrived to the United States. There was many players I didn't see.
Now,
Greenberg has seen them play.
I'm not holding any gun to your head, but how good was your grandson in baseball?
My grandson,
Yeah.
it was okay. He always wanted to, you played the end ball, the mile, right? You always wanted
Yeah, I
to
always
beat
played him handball, basketball.
but you wanted to beat them in basketball. And all the time you went to play, I was going to beat them today, and the mile was left. He says, you said tonight I'm going to beat you and beat you. He beat you. The one time I think you beat him.
Well, he was a little older than me, Grandpa. A little bigger than me, too, you know. But I played him pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I didn't watch too much. I used to go away with
What about baseball? You used to watch me play a lot of Little League games.
him. Really?
Weren't you there when,
Yeah, when you lived there.
in Yonkers?
Yeah. used to come out.
Don't you remember when they intentionally walked me? Don't you remember when I got some let off the game one season with a triple right down the alley? Don't you remember some game-winning hits right up the middle?
Yeah, but I didn't think of you, that you were a football player. I think you were a kid that played really fast. I don't think you were very good. Some kids were doing much better.
Ah, thanks. I'll remember you in my will. I'll remember you in my will, Grandpa. Well, what else you got to say about baseball?
Great. Nothing against baseball. They don't know me nothing. I always enjoy it. To my opinion, I've seen the greatest.
Well, right now I got the big labor strike and the walkout. And
I don't like that business. I'm looking forward to watch a game on television. I'm old. So many nights, I have what to do tonight. I'm alone, right? So I come in at night in the house. I know 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock. I know tonight I have what to do. I can watch the game, baseball.
What about that great Jewish hitter, Hank Greenberg?
And I seen him play. I thought I came late. I'd seen him not many times. I seen him.
A good home run. Was every... Now, were a lot of people in New York rooting for him because he was originally a New Yorker?
Yeah, I was in New York. It was a jubal.
A jubal?
Jubal.
Yeah.
Sure. It was great anyway.
Overall, who was your favorite, Grandpa?
The Giant team was my favorite.
No individual player?
Well, I kind of, Tommy Mays was a great player. One to me, one of the greatest. He knew whatever he did was right.
If you were to ever put it together an all-star team, who would be your center fielder?
Tommy Mays.
Right field.
Roger Swansby was playing shortstop. Right?
I think he played second.
Second.
Who would be your left fielder and who would be your right fielder?
I got the names of Abdul.
What?
Abdul, remember Abdul?
No. Who do you play for? Who else would you have in the outfield?
You come back too many years.
Who would you have on first base?
You should have interviewed me 5 years ago.
I only had the camera 3 years.
Yeah, well, I remember better than now. How with that accident that I lost, my mind don't even function.
Who would you have at first base?
Yeah.
Who would you?
I'm at no carry. My
No, no, I'm talking about if you were to pick players today to make an all-star team, regardless of when they played, who would be your first baseman? Who would be second?
Second,
Short.
Short. Was there Reese? I think there was a player.
Third.
See, they're going back maybe 60 years.
Who would you have behind the plate?
Time was many great catches. Last one, he was a good hitter and a good fielder. It's laying on my mind.
Well, for the Giants? Mel Ott? He wasn't a great catcher?
He was not a catcher.
You sure? Well, all right. I'll trust.
Maybe it was a midfielder. I don't remember exactly. But yeah, I'm telling you, this year knocked me out with mine. So I don't remember. I remember very little. Why? Because you know what happened.
Yeah. So let's see. Would your favorite? You think the best catch may be Campanella?
It was a great catch. I wouldn't say the best.
Better than Yogi Berra?
I don't think so.
Luke, first, you think Bill Terrier's better than Lou Gehrig?
No, I don't think Lou Gehrig. I think that's an edge.
What do you think of Hank Aaron? Is that all you got to say? Great?
They're all great, those days.
All right.
They're good players today, too. But they're more scientific.
So, Grandpa, let's change the subject. When I was little, and you remember me sleeping over your house every Friday night?
Oh, you were more in my house than you were in your home.
And you don't remember me making you play baseball with me every Friday night, too?
I don't remember exactly. I know you were used to play handball at the wall there with the kids, right?
Yeah. What about when we used to play Army? Remember all those toy soldiers I had?
Huh?
Remember all those?
Yeah. All the soldiers, the eventful soldiers.
And remember the toy cars? All the cars I used to have, the model cars?
Yeah.
And all the Army guns you bought me?
Yeah, you like that.
Uh,
That's why you're today with cars.
Remember when I was little, you once came up, drive by, and got me those walkie-talkies from Lafayette's?
Yeah. It wasn't a good one. That didn't last too long, right? Today.
Yeah, it was fun.
Today, they're making them good.
Yeah.
You can hear.
Remember we used to go riding in that 59 Ford?
Yeah.
Remember one time Grandma stepped in, you know what? You wouldn't let her in the car. You kept yelling at her. The dog poop. Grandma stepped in it with her foot, and she went to get in the car, and you yelled at her. Well, you know, when the cars used to be parked in Park Avenue, all the dog crap used to be on the streets, and you used to have to make sure you stepped it before you got in the car. Remember when you got the Plymouth? I used to always want to get the keys to drive it. Remember that green Plymouth you had there?
Yeah.
And then you used to let me tune it up for you? Now, did I do a good job tuning up your cars?
Yeah, you did a good job. Yeah, they didn't do many. The last time you did the tuner, you bought everything new. You bought the wires, everything was new.
Good job, though?
All the wires. Yeah, it was a good job. You changed all the wires. Everything new wires. Costed me a lot of money.
But it ran good, though, didn't it?
Yeah, sure.
I remember pulling remember your satellite? I used to pull it up on the curb on Boston Post Road there. And not Boston Post Road. What was that road right next to the park? Bronx Park East?
Yeah.
I used to change. How many times I changed the valve covers in that Plymouth? We used to always have that oil leak.
Yeah. Used to change the oil too.
Remember the car?
Get it up. The deal here used to get up on the side.
I remember that time. Remember that time with the Plymouth? The horn used to keep going off on its own.
Yeah.
I remember when you got that garage, and it was so narrow. You used to scratch the car, pull it in.
Yeah.
You could barely fit a bicycle through there.
I did put the car in for the bicycle.
Then when you moved, it was so far that you used to have to take a train to get the car.
Yeah. Yeah, but then later I gave it up. Yeah, it was a good garage. When you parked there the car, the man was such a nice man, he didn't raise it. People were paying already $30 for the garage. I once gave him a $10 raise, so I paid him $15. But he said, "Why, you got rich?" I was ashamed. The man never asked for a raise, right? Like then later years, I said to myself, how stupid can I be? The man is so nice, he was entitled for $25 or something like that. When you park there the car, you know nobody will touch it. Because that's the way the man watched. He was a friend. From the years older than they became a friend. They never asked me to give him money. Now, when I think about it, I should have given him more.
Now, what was your mom and dad's Hebrew names and everything? Zlata?